Hello, guys. So it's Monday Madness in the Bubble Nest, and whoever's in here, I hope you can hear me. So let's just do a sound check real quick. Does everybody hear me? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, some Monday Madness and a little bit of an update in the fish room and kind of some things that I've been watching on Facebook recently, and I'm sure a lot of us in the fish community are a little bit kind of unnerved by some of this too. First, hey Kayla, how are you? Um, you know, some of the things that I have been watching in the YouTube, not just the fish community, but like across the board. And I don't particularly know what it is, but there seems to be so many negative, toxic people right now. And I don't know whether it's just because everyone's up in arms because of all of the changes on the Facebook platform. And no, you're not late. We just started. I'm not sure if it's because of all the changes on the Facebook platform, and there's so many accounts that are being banned, and so many different groups that are being found in violation, whether they're actually truly in violation, whether it's just someone deciding, well, I'm going to report this group today and hope that they can pick it off. And it's a real shame. But the first thing I kind of want to touch on was some updates with my fish room and some things. You'll kind of hear my kids walking around a little bit, so I apologize for that. They're getting ready for bed. But the updates in the fish room, as I said, I think 3 times now. I am in the process of jarring my baby betas because they are actually physically trying to kill each other now. And that can happen as early as 8 weeks. Jordan! That can happen as early as, even earlier than 8 weeks sometimes, but usually typically around about 8 weeks onwards, you kind of start seeing how the beta babies start picking on each other and singling out the little ones, and usually I start the culling process at about 8 weeks. I look for very, very obvious signs that there's either a bad genetic at play, the form of the fish is just real bad, curvatures of the spines. One of the other common ones that I've come across is actually the only way I can explain it is it's like a dislocated jaw and the mouth is constantly open. So they'll be swimming and their mouth will be open the entire time. And I have tried to see whether that's something that the fish has grown out of. And that's good. That's really good. I don't know what kind are they. I have plaquettes right now and they just want to eat each other. But there's been a few obvious traits that make me start culling. As soon as I see these traits visible, that unfortunately that is HMPK. You're quite lucky, because with HMPKs with me, I also 9 times out of 10 mine seem to be extremely aggressive at about 8 weeks. But those are some of like the telltale things that I'll start picking those out real early, so that the bigger ones and the ones that are better formed are having a better chance. And and being a responsible breeder, you unfortunately it's kind of one of those things you have to pick out the ones that don't have good they won't have a good quality of life once they hit adulthood. It's not fair if that fish is twisted because they have a curvature of the spine. Then that's not a quality of life, and it's certainly not a fish that you can sell, nor can you breed from it. So what is its use? And I know a lot of people don't like that subject, but sorry, I do call my fish, and that's just the way it is. But I have a snail explosion. I also found planaria in my shrimp tank, so I am absolutely furious at myself because anyone who has planaria or has dealt with planaria knows that planaria is 9 times out of 10, unless it's come in on a live plant, it is your own fault. And when I found it in my shrimp tank, I was like, rookie mistake. But it's very easy to get planaria in your fish tanks. And for a long time, you might not even notice that they're there because they're often underneath certain things like your tank decorations, or they're in your plants, and you just don't see them until they're actually going up the glass. And you've got what looks like a little arrow sliding up your glass. And that's usually when you're like, oh, okay, what is that? Because they kind of resemble a leech, but they are actually a kind of flatworm, I believe. I believe it is. I could be wrong. I forget. But they're fairly simple to treat. And you can safely treat your tank when you have shrimp. I don't know if anyone actually really knows that I have shrimp, but I do have shrimp. And they started breeding recently, and I was completely thrilled with myself that I had one shrimp and she was carrying eggs, and I was completely beside myself that I discovered that this shrimp had eggs under her belly. And in fact, I was so obsessed with her that I sat and I watched her for, I think it was an hour and 45 minutes, and all of a sudden my husband's at the top of my fish room stairs and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, watching the shrimp. I get lost down here. I can't help it. I see something and something fascinates me with just a simple swish of a tail, and that's it, I'm done. I'm lost. And I will sit down here for 3-4 hours happily, quite content, just literally like this, staring at this one thing in the tank because I'm I am literally like obsessed with my fish. So that's basically the snail explosion. I've got some shrimp that have eggs under their bellies, so I'm completely ecstatic about that. But I found planaria, so that's kind of a downer. So now I'm concerned. Now, planaria is bad, but it's not as terrible as you may think. 9 times out of 10, a planaria is not really going to be quick enough to actually cause any kind of issues with either your shrimp or fish, for instance. Like it's not like it can jump off the glass and attack a fish. And hi, Carbon. But one of the biggest things you do have to bear in mind is that they can and are able to, I don't know if it's a bite or a sting, or I'm not 100% sure exactly, but I know that they are able to. I'm going to just use the word bite because that just sounds like it's the most logical. They are able to bite shrimp, and then it's not the bite that's going to cause the shrimp problems. It's actually like the bacterial infection afterwards that's going to cause the shrimp problems if you're a shrimp keeper. Very, very rare. However, if you have planaria, you really need to be mindful of the fact that you quite possibly have hydra, which is another nasty in your tank that you don't want, that is also something that is 9 times out of 10 caused, unfortunately, by us as keepers when we've overfed our fish. And it's easy to do. We've all done it. I still do it. I'm gonna hold my hands up. I still overfeed my fish. I don't do it on purpose. I just like watching them eat. No, I'm joking. I try not to overfeed. I try to make sure that it's enough that they can consume it within a few minutes, and I try not to leave any residue. And I do water changes on my bigger tanks every other day, and my small I have like Critter Keepers as my grow out tanks for my fry. and they have and I do water changes on them daily. So if I can overfeed and still do my water changes every other day and still find nasties in my tank, if you're someone that doesn't water change every single day or every other day or even once a week, then the chance are you may well have them too. But don't be alarmed, because you can treat the tanks with Panacur, Panacur C, and actually Flip Aquatics has an amazing video on it. He describes exactly how to do it. So that's the best thing, because Hydra is the one you don't want to have in your tank, because it's kind of like an anchor worm almost. That's kind of what it resembles, but it's absolutely microscopic. They're very, 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 very tiny. And hi, Aquamate. And they attach themselves to, say, a rock or a plant or something, and as a fish or a shrimplet, especially shrimplets, swim by, they sting them. And that's definitely not what you want. You don't want that kind of thing. So if you find planaria, nuke it. No, I'm joking. Get Panacur C. That's definitely oh, is it really? Because I was wondering how that would be, and I think it would probably be easier to dose with a liquid than it is with a powder, trying to figure out what 0.01 grams is, so I think that's great information, Dan. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. This is kind of something that's a little bit new to me, because as you know, I breed beta. Shrimp was kind of like I wonder if I can keep shrimp, because I heard a lot of things about people having shrimp and they just die. So I was like, do I really want to try shrimp? Because am I gonna kill it? But happy to report my shrimp are doing really well. My cherry shrimp and my blue shrimp. I forget which kind of blue shrimp. I can't remember if they're blue velvets, possibly. I don't remember. I just know that they're blue and they're cute. And I really thought I was going to be grossed out by them, because I don't do spiders, as you probably saw from the last live stream that I nearly freaked out because I thought there was a spider in here. I thought I was going to be creeped out by shrimp, but they're so rewarding to watch. I love watching them, and I like watching them. Hey, I love watching them like walk over to each other, stand there, look at each other, and then like flick themselves away from each other. It's the funniest thing ever. Yeah, I love watching them like pick at all the stuff, and their little legs are going everywhere. And my blue shrimp like swim around my tank like crazy. They're so awesome. I love it. And then on top of that, I have the guppies in there too. And the shrimp swim up to the guppies, and the guppies swim away. They're just such a blast to watch. I just love it. And I can literally, honestly, I can sit here for hours. And this is why it's my bubble nest. I mean, every single time I'm down here doing a water change, which is a lot, I spend a lot of time down here, I find something new to just be like, wow, this is amazing. This is why I love this. This is why I love doing what I do, because I learn something new all the time. All the time. So moving forward, not today, not until now, until I can get, I'm not going to be able to do it live until I hit the what is it, the 1,000 subs or whatever, because trying to carry my laptop around is gonna be, I just feel like that's gonna be super awkward, and I really wanted to like take you around and show you everything, but it won't let me stream from my phone. So unless I can figure out some sort of hack where I can get my phone and like live stream it with you, because that to me, I think would be more pleasing for you guys, is to actually like me show you my tanks and talk about my tanks and what I love about my tanks and what I don't like about my tanks. Because trust me, right now, the snail outbreak is disgusting. Like, I'm not a person, I don't like snails because they're eating my plants, they're eating my shrimp food, they're eating the glass. I mean, no, I don't. I don't like them, and they literally went crazy. I don't even know. I honestly thought I picked up most of them, and I use an airline hole. Yeah, they're pond snails and bladder snails. They're not ram's horns. I'm trying to remember what the other one is. One of them is fairly big. It gets like this big, and it's got like the really kind of skinny. It's not a very wide snail, but it's high and it's real tight curls. It reminds me of Gary from SpongeBob. But they're kind. I thought the one that I had was kind of cool. It might be a ram's horn. I'm not 100% sure though. I just don't like them. Like, I don't like seeing their eggs all over the glass. I don't like seeing their eggs in the plants, and I try and pick them off all the time, every single time I see them, and there's still like 10,000 more the next day, and I'm just like, how? How are you able to produce so many babies? Like, this is unbelievable. But the temperatures are, what is up? I've passed the dirt road. How are you? But snails are not my thing. Like, if I have mystery snails, that would be one thing. Or if I had something that I purposely put in my tank to study it while it's there and watch how it works in my little ecosystems, that's one thing. But to have 9,000 snails that came out of nowhere that I didn't purchase, I'm just like, why? I have sponge filters in my tank, so unfortunately there's no kamikaze snails in my tanks. Kind of wish they would just jump out and get out, but it's just not going to happen. As much as I use every single time I do my water changes, I suck out as many as I possibly can, the ones that will go up the airline hose, and then I pick out like the bigger ones, and then within 3 days there's like 9,000 again. I'm just like, and I don't really like the thought of like putting a chemical in the tank. That just, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to get some assassin snails, like probably like 30 of them. That's something else. I really like, what is it called? The figure eight puffers. I love them. They're so pretty. I like the pea puffers too, but I really like the figure eights. But I don't know enough about them to keep them yet, and I certainly don't have the room right now. But I'm working on some room for some new stuff. So I'm extremely excited, which kind of brings me to my next point. I have quite a few plans to go down with the fish room. I think I briefly touched on it the last live stream, my I apologize live stream, and I hope you all forgive me, which clearly you do because you're back, so that's good. That I am in the process of trying to get together some I found these awesome racks, like metal shelving, and each shelf is perfectly capable of holding like something like 350 or 450 pounds, something stupid. But they're not very big. They're big enough to perfectly fit in a 10-gallon tank. So I've got a 14-foot wall behind the white screen right now. I have like a 14-foot wall back there that I plan on having it just absolutely covered in divided tanks for all of my betta, and then some other fish that I decided that I kind of want. And my little studio area here was kind of just something that I threw together so that I could continue with my content and have a little bit of the sound from the tanks, because they're kind of like back here. Some of the sound drowned out from the tank, so it's just like a little boxed in area where I have my studio lighting, and which I'm feeling quite honored to have, my own little studio. I feel so fancy when I'm in here. But like, I have some really big plans coming, and it takes some time to get these things done. So, you know, not only time, money, obviously, on top of everything else that I try to do and stay busy. And I don't know, I don't know how I do it sometimes. I don't know how I find the time, especially when I lose like 3 or 4 hours just sitting staring at one fish tank, and I'm like, ah, gotta cook dinner. Oops. Where did 5 hours go? Where did 4 hours go? And then they say it's where did those hours go? And I don't accomplish much. I'm just sitting here admiring my fish tanks, which honestly don't look too great right now because of the snail outbreak. But I'll get that under control one way or another. And then another thing that I want to explore more is my fascination with goldfish. I absolutely love them. I love their little squidgy faces, their little puffy cheeks. For the Oranda, I love the Oranda, and I decided that I want to keep some Ryukin. And I have got some ideas for a breeding project, but I'm not really going to touch too much on that just yet because I would rather bring you along for the ride with that than kind of tell you what it's about now so that you already know and then there's no interest. So yeah, Oranda are just, I'm absolutely in love with them. I absolutely love them. And my favorites are the Panda Orandas, which, if anyone doesn't know what a Panda Oranda is, it's the Oranda goldfish, but it is black and white. And I just want these little, they're in my tub. I have like a pond tub for the winter, which is not something else that's going to be changed this year. Um, and when they come up to the surface to greet me, the little wens, because they've got like the cheek wen. The wen is like the lumpy looking face, and these guys have it all around their cheeks and around their mouth. So when they come up to the surface, the wens all come out of the water, and these little mouths are just feed me. And I can't. Every time they just make me giggle. I just stand there giggling at them like, you want to eat them? And I'm literally making these poor fish beg for their food because I just get a kick out of it. I just think it's hilarious. I also have comets, which I cannot wait to see how big they get because, again, people think that when they buy this 50-cent comet in the store, they don't realize that this thing can get to a foot long. So another thing that I want to share with everyone. I knew coming back into the fish world that I would never stay 100% with beta, as much as I love them, and they absolutely blow my mind every single time that one has this characteristic and the next one has a different characteristic, and this one is completely mean and this one is just fun loving. And it's just it's crazy how they have so many different personalities, and that's across the board with all kinds of fish. But typical of betas, there's like not one of them that is the same as the next. And for me, the love is when once you breed them, when you breed them and you're watching these tiny, tiny, tiny little fry transform into these adult fish. And especially if they're carrying, my personal favorite is like the marble gene. I love watching the marble gene just because it does so many different things. And I bred a pink fish to a marble fish and somehow got blue fish. And I'm just like, the mother is black and orange, the father is pink, so where does the blue come from? And I was just like, what is going on? That's the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And that made me continue breeding. And every single time, I never ever know fully what I'm going to get until there is like a line and I can start with the line breeding, you can control it a little bit better, but there's always that throwback gene that will occasionally pop in and go, oh hey, I'm still here. And you're like, the mother was a Koi, the father is a Koi, so how on earth are you black? And these are the things that completely fascinate me with especially with breeding the beta. That to me is just, I could never get enough of it. It's just so interesting. The way that they transform from these tiny little fry into these adults that you never really know exactly what you're going to get from them. Yeah, you know what tail type it's going to be, but color patterns, you have, if these are two fish that you just bought, you have no idea what genetic lines they come from. So it's always just like, I can't wait. I sit there and I'm like, they got any color yet? Did they get any color yet? And I'm completely infatuated by them. So I can't wait to start breeding all the species of fish. I actually I just made my first pleco cave out of PVC piping. It is ugly as sin, but if it gets the job done and my plecos like it, then I should have baby plecos soon, hopefully. I hope, but we'll see. We'll see. I've never made a pleco cave before. I just kind of winged it a little bit, but hopefully it'll work. It follows the same concept as any other pleco cave I've ever seen. So I just stuck some PVC pipe into a stone with some acrylic. Sorry, not acrylic. What's the word I'm looking for? Can't think what it's called. The stuff you put on glass to seal your tanks. Completely mind blown. I can't think what it's called. Silicone acrylic. Silicone. So I made my first pleco cave today. So we'll see how they like that, and hopefully it will be a success. It will be a pleco nest in a couple of weeks time. I'm hoping, and we'll see what happens with those. And my starlight plecos, also known as the white seam plecos, they are still very, very small. They are growing, but slowly. So far, they don't seem to like anything I put in the tank for them. It doesn't matter if it's green beans, it doesn't matter if it's cucumber or zucchini or spinach, or it doesn't matter. They're just not interested. At least not when I'm around. They are very nocturnal, and I've only ever really caught them out like very, very early hours in the morning. And I'm usually up about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning at the very latest. I'm up. And that's occasionally, like if I come down very early in the morning, I'll see them out, and I try not to turn the lights on so I can investigate and just try and, you know, see what they're up to, because I literally never see them unless I physically go and like pull the tank apart. I don't actually ever see the fish. So it's nice to actually be able to sit and observe them in the early hours of the morning without disturbing them in any way, shape, or form, and just let them be natural. And hopefully they'll grow. They'll get some size on them soon. But I did get them and they were literally like this big. So they've probably almost doubled in size, but they're gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. Solid black with little white dots and white seams on their dorsal fin and their tail. And it's just, they're beautiful. And then I do have a Rio Nigra pleco also. I forget what the L number is. I think it's like L35 or something like that. L135, I think. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. It might be L134, possibly. Again, very, very elusive, but she gained some size, and so far, my 2 attempts to get some other ones have failed, and I just haven't got any more yet. They have not, as far as I know, they have not been bred in captivity. So that is a future project. So I'm hoping that I think it's a female. I'm hoping that she's going to maintain her size and just be so super healthy that once I find the right male for her, Well, a couple of males. Once I find a couple of males for her, she's not going to be able to resist them. So I kind of want to be the first to breed them in captivity. But I'm sure there is 900,000 people out there that are already trying to breed that particular species. And some more thing. Well, not some more things. Something else that will be changing this year is I will be digging a pond outside, and my goldfish will be going outside for the remainder of the summer. Hopefully, it will be ready in time, and possibly some other kinds of goldfish to go outside. I'm hoping for that. That's going to be a new one, because the last time I dug a pond, I was literally like 14, no, probably 12 years old, and it was with my dad. And I was more interested in playing in it rather than actually digging. Or when it came to filling it with water, I was in the water, and actually I was in the pond on many occasions with the fish. Yeah, I was kind of a gross child. But so those are kind of some things that I've been going over with my husband on planning on how, what area I want to tackle first. I'm hoping to be able to make it to Aquatic Experience this year. So it's crazy. That's coming up real soon. And it seems like the last one was just over. And I'm just like, what is going on? And yes, I mean Aquatic Experience in New Jersey, not Aquashella. I'm not going to be able to make it to Aquashella this year at all. So I hope I can make it there. That's going to be fun. What else? What other madness has happened? Negativity on Facebook. That was something else I wanted to speak about. And not really that I'm anyone to be saying, oh, you can't do that. No, but more to the point of, I think as the fish community, part of the reason that I was so drawn to the fish community and actually allowing myself to delve further into being an active member in the community was there's such a positive and such a loving network out there. And that's part of what was really, really intriguing. And it's actually part of the reason that I actually felt comfortable coming onto YouTube and trying, and trying it out. And then when I've seen recently some posts where clearly people have, it's never going to change. I mean, anyone buys things on a whim, and for some people it's puppies and they have no idea that, the pit bull is going to eat the furniture and possibly the neighbor's cat. And I'm not trying to downgrade a pit bull at all. I've kept pit bulls. I love them. They are my babies, and I like their big knuckle heads. I just love them. I love pit bulls. And I have 8 kids too, so there's no they are a fantastic family dog, but you got to raise it right. And that's one of the biggest things that I find, is that people are buying things on a whim because either it looks cool or it's fancy or they got to have it. And I get that. But also at the same time, when they come looking for advice and being like, oh, hey, I kind of did something I probably should have done because I didn't do my research, but can you help me? And then people are like, ha, 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 you're stupid. We all learn at one point or another. Like, why is this even fair? Like, I don't understand how people can be so negative to the community, that a lot of people are like, I want to be a part of that community. They seem like such awesome people, and 99% of us are. But then you've got a handful of people that point the finger or try to put someone down, and that's just been really kind of heartbreaking for me recently, and especially with the shift in Facebook lately. I'm sure a bunch of you have already noticed that there's been so many of the really popular Facebook groups that are in the fish community that have disappeared because either they've violated some sort of terms of service or sold fish, or but you see, this is the thing that kind of bugs me a little bit, is that there's still billions and billions and billions of, beta sellers, for instance. Look at the beta sellers. They are everywhere. And not that that's a bad thing. Right, exactly, Dan. And it's just a shame. Like, I feel so bad. Yeah, there's so many people that are still getting away with it, and yet there's communities that really don't sell fish as per se. That you always see them kind of put the stopper on it, like, no, that's not part of this group, don't do it here. And then next thing you know, they've disappeared because of terms of service. And I'm just like, that's a real shame. Like, it's been kind of a heavy blow to a lot of this community. But there are still really, really good groups out there. So, like, I implore you to go and investigate some of the other really, really good groups. So don't be too disheartened by it, but like the group disappearance as per se. But the sad thing is I think a lot more people should be standing up for the people that are being trashed on, for not understanding a simple concept. Some people just don't understand. Like, that's just the way it is. Some people don't do their research, but they're actually crying out for help because, the fine-mouthed cichlid is eating the guppies. And why? Well, most of us here know that you don't put a fine-mouthed cichlid with guppies. So, yes, there was a couple, actually. If I remember correctly, there was one of the big beta groups, huge beta groups, and the fish tubers group recently, and at least 4 others. I can't remember their names. It's okay. There's at least 4 others that I know of. Like, I had a list of groups that I was a part of. I wasn't particularly active in them, but I always like to go in and read information. I love to read anything that I possibly can that would possibly help me in the future, even if it's not a fish that I'm particularly interested in. I want to know. I want to know how to, so that I can help someone else should it come up. If someone's like, well, I don't know how to keep the Siamese algae eaters. Oh, well, I just read something about that, and here's my information. This is what I learned, and this is where you can possibly find something else out. That's kind of why I was in so many different groups, and my list went from being this big to being like this big. And I'm like, what happened? Where did all these people go? Like, you can't surely all be selling fish. And a lot of it was just spam. Like, there was a lot of spamming on the pages from people that just had no regard. There's been a couple of conflicting different stories that I've read recently regarding the fish tube notification squad, or whatever it was. I forget the exact name. If I said it wrong, I apologize. But there's been a few different stories floating around. So I don't know whether it's a Facebook thing or whether it's been like an admin's thing. And it's a shame, because it was such a fantastic community. And I really hope that, for whatever reason, these guys can branch off and put their own. I forget which one it was. I really forget. What, prison? Maybe? No. Better Keepers 2.0? Was that it? I'm pretty sure it was that one. Better Keepers BKA? I think it was called something like that. I always forget the initials for it, but it was I'm pretty sure it was that group. And if I remember correctly, there was something like maybe close to 70,000 members or something crazy like that. It was a huge group, and it was a real shame. It was a real blow to the beta community, for sure, and to anyone that was interested in that group and the people that were involved with it, because the people in that group, most of them were fantastic. Beta Keepers. No, not the amino, Cherry, not the amino. It was one of the groups on Facebook, one of the really, really big beta groups on Facebook. And It wasn't Better Keepers Amino. Yeah. I used to be actually I probably am still a part of the Beta Keepers Amino. I don't go on there very often anymore, unfortunately. I just my focus has changed a little bit since coming into the hobby. So, but it really has been a shame, and it's a shame that now these communities are kind of being squished together a little bit more, and there seems to be a lot more. There seems to be a lot more. A lot less, should I say, sorry, a lot less patience for newcomers. And I feel like certainly I think just about everybody in this chat right now, I know through Facebook and through your own YouTube channels, and we definitely can make an impact and make a change on, trying to weed out some of these people that are just they're just sending off the wrong vibes, especially to people that are new in the hobby. Like, we've always been such a great tight-knit community, and I think it would be just such a shame that we're already being hit with these balls through Facebook to then furthermore be negative towards newcomers that are just coming into the hobby. Like, we were all newcomers once. Technically, I'm not exactly an expert. I do a lot of research, I do a lot of reading, but I get it wrong too sometimes. And there's sometimes I'm like, do I make a post of this, or do I just message someone that I know? And that's usually the route I take, just because you never know who's going to be absolutely mean. Like, just so mean. But also the biggest group that not the biggest group that I'm a part of right now, but feel free to come and join me on Green Oasis Farms Facebook. That is the group that I am the most active in. That is my home, that is my little family, and I absolutely invite you all to come in and mess around with the silly gifts and stuff, and humor me with silly stories on my stupid posts that I put. Today's Monday Madness. Tomorrow is Tuesday something. I forget. I do it I try to do it every single day. Like, I'll put up a topic and try and get everyone talking about that topic. Today's Monday Madness. So we had some pretty interesting stories about Monday Madness, which is like the week before. You look back at the week before and you're like, wow, that really happened this week. Why? Mine is this Snell explosion, which, to be fair, I kind of knew was coming. I've been picking them out, but I honestly didn't. I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to get this bad, but it's pretty sizable right now, and that's not really something that I like. And I don't like that my shrimp are having to fight snails for their food. And so are my plecos, because the second the algae wafers or vegetables go in the tank, the snails are straight to it, like straight to it. And it's so, yeah, I was doing that, and then a week later they're all back, and I'm just like, what is wrong with these things? They breathe faster than rabbits and rats and yeah, I think I'm just going to keep doing that over and over again. And I made a really big mistake recently, probably a couple of months back now. I made my own little snail trap, and I baited it, and I baited this thing, and then when I felt like I had a really good amount of snails in there, I took them out, and then I was like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What do I do with them? This is probably 300-400 snails in this thing. Well, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but there was a lot of snails in this thing. And I'm just like, what do I do with it? I was like, you know what? I'll put it out in the bird feeder in the morning. Maybe the birds will enjoy them. Well, guess what happened? I forgot them. And I kept forgetting them. And then I suddenly turned, I was like, what is that? And I touched it, and let me tell you, once you smell that smell of dead snail, you'll never forget it, and you'll never make that mistake again, because oh my Lord, it was so bad. And I was like, I am in so much trouble. My husband is gonna freak on me. I am gonna be in so much trouble. So I quickly like flushed them down the toilet. I didn't know what else to do. I flushed them down the toilet. They were all dead. But like I flushed them down the toilet. I started flushing the toilet. I poured bleach down the toilet. I started flushing the toilet, and I'm trying to wash everything down. And all of a sudden I go, what is that smell? I'm like, oh no. I was like, kind of got a confession. And he's like, what was that? I was like, well, the snails that I kind of took out, I kind of forgot them, and I'm sorry. And he just glared at me. He's like, that was snails? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. No, 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 no. I definitely, that was bad enough. And now like I walk through, and I keep worm cultures down here too. So like I've got microworm, no, sorry, they're not microworms, they're banana worms. I've got banana worms, I've got vinegar eels, I've got grindle worms. None of that. None of that smells as bad as these snails. Snails, don't ever catch snails and don't deal with them right then and right there. Take it from me. You don't ever want to leave snails and deal with them in the morning. Like, oh my, yeah, I don't. When I went to France when I was about 12 years old. Now, I used to live in England, and my grandparents decided they were going over to France and they wanted to take me with them. So I was like, sure, let's go. We went to this restaurant, and it was like it was literally on the ocean, and they brought out this giant platter of seafood. There was just all this seafood on it. And I was like kind of excited to kind of try some of it, because I wanted to try crab because I was told that it was really good. And I went to reach in for this crab, and as I did, I see one of the snails just casually like crawling across the platter, and I'm just like, oh no, 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 this stuff is still alive. Like, I'm not eating this. And my grandmother is just like, it's still alive. And I was like, it's walking across the plate. Like, I'm not eating this. I was like, take me for a burger or something. I'm not eating something that's walking across my plate, like trying to leave. And the poor snail just can't leave fast enough, It was just. And my aunt, she went to pick up, I don't know if it was a mussel or a clam. I don't remember. I mean, I'm going back years. It's a long time ago. She went to open the clam or the mussel, and it shut down on a finger. And I'm just like, I'm mortified by this point. I'm like, I'm never touching seafood, fish. No, it lives in the water. Leave it in the water. I don't want to eat it. It's no. If it's walking across my plate, no. And from that day, I have never touched seafood ever since then, because that is just no. It's disgusting. And my mom would eat. She would eat like they call them winkles. They're like tiny little snails, and she would use a needle and she would hook them out and put them in bread and then eat them. And I was just like, you're eating snails? And she was like, yeah, it's good. And somebody else, who was it? One of my other family members likes jellied eels. Oh no. It's just it's so wrong. It's so wrong. I will stick to my burgers and my chicken, and I'll be good with that. And some pizza. I like pizza. But no, I can't deal with the fact that people actually eat that stuff. It's just not for me, not at all. Especially when like I see my little fish swimming around my tanks and then someone tries to serve you a fish and is looking at you like, no, thank you. I will pass. Uh-uh. No, I can't. Like, I can't even make that stuff up. Like, I'm just completely grossed out. Honesty. In all honesty, it's not fair. It's not fun. It's not nice. That's like serving someone a plate of spiders. I want to see the reaction when they open up that thing. What do you think's gonna happen? I'm gonna be running. I'm not gonna be in here. But so I have, like I was saying before, I do have some projects that I'm working on, and especially wanting to get to aquatic experience. Aquatic experience in October, I think it is. Hi, how are you? I definitely want to get there this year. I will be, if I actually make it down, I will be with the Green Oasis Farms guys. So that's going to be, and obviously I'm going to come and see everyone. That's just me. I'm just going to be like, it's me. So I'm hoping to actually be able to get down there for this year. I missed it last year because I didn't actually even realize it was happening until like the day before. And I'm just like, not fair. That was cruel. So this year I'm way more on top of it. I'm way more into all of the communities. So now I'm not missing a beat. I don't really have any, I don't have any shows this year that I'm doing. I haven't bred anything this year that has hit that mark for me. But I've still got 3 spawns that I'm playing with, so hopefully I'll have something that maybe I'll send into one of the IBC shows, and we'll see what happens with that. So that will be exciting. I know there's some coming up soon. Next year, hopefully I will have a nice little line of goldfish going, and possibly some plecos, and maybe a couple of other things that I'm still not 100% sure on. I want to go into something else other than my plecos and the goldfish. I'm still on the fence as to what it's gonna be yet. I'm definitely infatuated with goldfish. And I'm infatuated with my beta, but I want to expand my knowledge into other stuff, and I want to try my hands at a few other species and eventually have every single wall in my basement filled with tanks of stuff that is breeding beautiful fish that hopefully everyone will absolutely enjoy and learn something from in the process of me doing it. And that's the whole reason that that's the whole reason that I'm driven to breed, because I love watching the interaction. I love watching how just the whole process, every single species of fish has like a different process as to how these things do. I would love, oh my God, I would love to have giant gourami and actually spawn them. But giant gourami, obviously the name is kind of a giveaway. I just want to see the bubble nest. Like literally, I just want to see a giant gourami's bubble nest. Can you imagine how big that bubble nest would be? I want one. Like I don't think I would ever keep a giant gourami just because they just need so much, and certainly not anytime soon am I anywhere near capable of keeping a fish with such high needs as a giant gourami, and I don't recommend it. Leave that to Joey to do his thing with the giant gourami and the catfish. I'm Susan, that's her name. I forgot about that. I'm gonna leave Joey to keep the giant gourami, Susan, and I'm gonna admire from a distance. But maybe one day I just want a male just long enough to see how big that bubble nest is. Like, that would be the best thing in the world, is seeing a giant gourami's bubble nest. I tried Googling it and I can't find it anywhere. But I didn't actually realize that they were also bubble spawners. I don't know. I kind of figured that being so big, they wouldn't be bubble nesters, but they are. And that to me is just like, I want to see it. I absolutely want to see it. So maybe I'm going to actually try breeding some gouramis, the regular size gouramis, not the giant ones, because I think I would have to fill my whole basement to recreate something big enough for a giant gourami to actually spawn in. And I don't even want to think about how many babies they can have. If that tiny little beta can pop out 700, 800 eggs, can you imagine what a giant gourami can pop out? No, I don't think that's something that I'm going to do anytime soon, but it would be absolutely fascinating to actually be able to spawn a giant gourami. I just think it would be pretty cool. Is there what is the craziest species any of you guys have bred, or accidentally bred, should I say? Because I know a lot of people have had accidental spawns and have come down to a tank full of babies, and I'm like, where did you come from? Anybody? Has anybody spawned anything that was like a crazy surprise? The one time actually I got plants sent to me, and I put them, at the time my 30-gallon tank had nothing in it, and I put the plants in the 30-gallon tank just to just to make sure there was nothing on it. And apparently somewhere there was a snail hitchhiker, because that's that's where I have them. How many babies did you get out of that spawn? And as I was cleaning one of my other tanks, I saw something move in the fish tank, and I'm like, I didn't put any fish in that tank. Like, that's just plants. There's nothing else in this thing. And I was like, I'm losing my mind. I have been down here for way too long. I'm going out of my mind. Like, I think that there's fish in this tank. There's nothing in this tank. And I get a little closer and I see something move again. And I'm like, what is going on? Turns out there were babies in them. They didn't make it, but there was baby fish that must have come in on the plants. And I was like so upset that I didn't add, because I just had no idea what they were. There was like a choice of about 7 different species that they could have been. And I was just like, I have no idea what they are. I don't know how to feed them. I don't know what they need. And I was so sad that there was like 10 of them and they didn't make it. So I was like completely upset. I was bummed out. But, I mean, they just went through shipping without any water, because the plants came wrapped in they came wrapped in wet paper towel. So there was no water in these bags, and they somehow made it through that process and make it into my tank to be refilled with cold water, and somehow they hatched. I still have no idea how they hatch, and I don't keep anything that is an egg spawner. Like, I don't have anything that lays eggs. So I was just like, what are they? And for a little while I thought that they were going to be celestial pearl daniels, and I love celestials. They are absolutely beautiful little fish. And my husband actually bought me some for my birthday last year, and they all died within 24 hours because they were just emaciated, and unfortunately they were in just really bad shape when I got them. And I sat and I cried, because I was like, he bought me one of my favorite fish. And my husband supports what I do, but he's not really about the fish. Like, I love the fish. He enjoys coming and seeing them and seeing how the babies have grown in the couple of days that he hasn't been down. But apart from that, like, he's interested, but he's not in the tanks like I'm in the tanks up to my armpits. I'm climbing through my pond, you know. So when he bought me those for my birthday, I was like, I picked up the bag and I'm like, oh my God, the celestials, like, and I'm like crying at the bag. And as I put them in the tank, I suddenly realized that these things were so skinny, like their back and then their belly was like arched upwards into their body. I was just like, oh my God, these things, I don't know if these things are going to make it. And I said to him, I said, I don't think these are going to make it. They do not look good. Like they should not be that skinny if they came overnight shipping. So why are they so skinny? And they all died in like 24 hours. So I was completely upset. And then I was like, nope, I'm not getting any more because I'm not going to have my heart broken again because I'm kind of stupid like that. But excuse me. But they are stunning. I absolutely love them. Maybe one day I have like a big tank with like 500 of them in it. That would be something. They are just so gorgeous. So pretty, such pretty little fish. And considering they're like this big and they are that strikingly beautiful, that blows my mind. Just silly little things like that. And those are the things that just keep me going. Like every little scale, every little, like the thing with breeding beta is keeping those lines as pure as you can, checking them because I've shown them, checking for every like little imperfection in the scale lines, checking for does the tail meet the exact standard that it's supposed to meet, are the ventral fins completely where they're supposed to be. I just cannot ever get enough of it, and I definitely want to delve further into my fascination with the fish. And maybe, I don't know, maybe one day I'll start a saltwater tank, but probably not for quite some time. Right now, I have a lot of rivers and lakes to contend with that I want to explore more. And there's a lot of species that I want to play with before I get anywhere near the ocean. So I'm going to leave the ocean to somebody else for now, and I'm just going to admire it when I see it online, or when you guys share your reef tanks with me. I'm going to admire them. I want seahorses at one point. At one point or another, I want seahorses, and an octopus or octopi. I don't know how you say it, but I would love an octopus. They are fascinating creatures. Oh my God, they are just awesome. And so intelligently, scarily intelligently. How can this little squishy ball of tentacles be so intelligent? I love watching the studies of them. And seahorses are just okay. I'm just stupid because every single fish, I love it. It could be the ugliest fish in the world, and I find something beautiful about it. They're all just so amazing, and where they come from, the habitats. Wow. And this is why it's so Pokeball. Hello. It just never ceases to amaze me, like just how many different fish species there are, and how diverse they are, and how robust some of these species are. It just never ends for me. And that's why I knew, to be honest with you, when I came home with those two little beta, I knew it was never going to end there. Never. I'm never going to be done. I will be knocking on death's door with my bag of goldfish. Like, no, it's not ever going to end. I already know that I am way too deep in. Learning and conversing, that is a pretty sweet sentence right there. But it's great. Paul, we were talking about planaria, which is definitely present in my shrimp tank, and I'm not very happy about it, on top of my snail explosion. And you are going to have to send me assassin snails because I need them, like last year almost. But what other species? Yeah, you just need to send me assassin snails. And then once I get my assassin snails, I will get some assassin gear and I don't know, dress up as an assassin and I don't know. Don't hold me to that because that's probably never going to happen. I'm going to leave all of that to Paul. Paul is the dress up king, and you guys should definitely check out his channel and subscribe because Captain America's great, Darth Vader is great, and I cannot wait to see him as things like the Cookie Monster, or maybe one day he'll be Simba, the Lion King, Spider-Man. Oh, I'm gonna hold you to it. I am going to hold you to it. Excuse me. But there's so many different species that I really, really, really want to explore. And now I actually have some backup because Paul, I have told him he is not allowed to sell the Ryukin, and if he does, I am gonna walk to Florida or something and go and throw him in his pond because I will cry if he sells the Ryukin because they're mine. I will. But koi is some. Oh, that brings me to something else. If any of you guys have ponds right now, definitely keep an eye on the bacteria levels in your ponds right now because the warmer weather, everything is going to spike real hard right now. And I was reading a couple of different things about really nasty bacterial infections in the fish. And what's happening is that there's this massive bacterial blooms in your ponds, and whereas it, even though it's normally present in your pond, it doesn't normally affect your fish. But because, especially if they're fish that have been kept outside during the winter and the temperatures drop so much, when those temperatures rise back up again, the this bacteria is becoming what do you call, this bacteria is actually causing big problems and ulcers, like open nasty wounds on fish, particularly koi and outdoor pond fish. So definitely keep an eye on your ponds for now, and make sure that you're taking care of the levels in the quality of your water, because that was, I wish I could remember the exact name of the bacteria, but the bacteria that I've seen has become quite nasty. And these, I don't know, Paul, do you remember what that bacteria is called? Because it's causing huge like lesions. And even though it's present in your water all the time, when the fish is coming out of like its dormant phase into like the warmer waters, for instance, as the temperatures are rising, the fish, their immune system is a little bit compromised from being in such a dormant phase for the colder weather. So this bacteria is actually managing to penetrate their skin, and what goes from like a tiny little nick can be a huge ulcerated sore that it's just not nice. And I was reading, I was like, oh my God, I don't know much about it, but when I saw that, I was like, oh boy, I need to try and let people know that this is that time of year where everything's going to spike. Everything's going to go crazy, and then it's going to even itself out a little bit, and eventually everything will die off some in the winter. Hey, Donnie, thank you for getting up to say hi. I appreciate it. Everything has been so dormant. Everything will die off in the winter, but then it'll all respike up again in the spring. So definitely, especially if you've got fish that are mature enough to be spawning, when the fish are spawning, they can also, they get some injuries on themselves. Their slime coats are worn off when they're rubbing through either plants or spawning mobs or whatever it is that you have in your ponds, if you are actually breeding your fish. or if they're just spawning on their own, on their own free will. You definitely want to make sure that that particular, the bacterial algae blooms and the bacterial blooms are kept under control. So keep an eye on your levels in your ponds for now, just to make sure that there's nothing, untoward with the change of the seasons. So that was something that I really wanted to say right in the beginning of the stream, because I was like, this is excellent information, and I completely forgot about it because I got sidetracked talking about planaria and hydra. But those are equally very important, because when I found that in my tanks, I was just like, oh, rookie mistake. Why? So, but it was definitely worth noting that, with the change of the seasons, and that's not just for pond fish, your fish in your house can also become, get a compromised immune system in your homes with the fluctuations in the house temperatures, because that can actually spike the temperatures in your tanks. And you may not even need heaters in your tanks at this time of the year, depending on where you're located. I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania. I keep it. Yeah, it can be fouled so easily, and I've done it. I'm not even going to sit here and go like, there's never been a fish poop in my fish tank. Never. So I really think that certainly during the summer months, you may not even need to have that heater in your tank at all. Keep an eye on your temperatures, especially if you have your lights running in your tanks. Make sure that temperature is not spiking. I did have a fish nearly die because there was a heater on my tank. Actually, I nearly lost an entire batch of fry because the light on my tank. I wasn't thinking about it when I originally have my thank you, take care. I wasn't thinking about it when I set up this particular tank, and I had like this cupboard. Inside the cupboard was my computer, and then I had the tank on top of it because I wanted to work at my computer and be able to look at my baby beta. And the light, the computer in the cupboard, the fish tank had a heater, and then the light on top of it. All of a sudden, at about 3 weeks of age, the fry, I looked over to the tank and I was like, why does it look like that? And then I suddenly realized that the thermometer was reading something stupid like 94 degrees. And I was just like, oh my Lord. I turned the light off. I pulled the heater out, and that temperature only dropped maybe 10 degrees. And I was just like, oh, good Lord, like what is going on? And it turned out it was actually a heater malfunction, because I tested it in one of my other tanks. But I honestly thought it was the heat from my computer rising and heating the bottom of the tank, and then the heater in the tank heating the water, and then the light bulbs shining down on the tank further heating the water. And I'm just like, I literally nearly fried these fish. So it was a little scary right there, because the father fish was still in there too, and I nearly killed him also. So it was pretty scary, and definitely a lesson well learned. So keep your tanks in areas that are not beside heat. Do not put them on top of computer stands or something where a computer is encased and there's no ventilation. And try to find the lights that are like LED lights rather than actual like 90s light bulbs, because it was nearly an absolute disaster. Like it was nearly an absolute disaster. Good night. Yeah, the LED lights are awesome. Or if you have the room to get them, like the shop lights. The only thing I found with my shop light was the first few weeks of having my shop light. And actually, if I take out my bristlenose plecos out of my one tank, that shop light grows plants so well that I get algae that's like a quarter-inch thick in 2 weeks, and I'm not even remotely playing with that. Thank God I have 3 bristlenose plecos that are extremely fat and healthy because they eat every single scrap of algae that could possibly form in this tank. But that was the only thing, was that the shop light that I had actually did grow a crazy amount of algae. And actually, I want to comment. I want to comment for my pond. Please. Self-in. That's what I want. Yes, I absolutely want the self-in gibbosips. Please. Thank you. Good night, Carbon. Thank you for joining me. But that's pretty much the majority. Aquafunk, thank you for joining. Everyone's joining in now. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming. Thank you. But before anyone goes, if you haven't already gone, if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. I mean, I'm not going to force you to do it or anything, but it would be nice. But what other things did I really want to talk on? I already went through joining the Facebook group and keeping an eye on the new members and not allowing people to kind of, really walk all over them, because I've noticed that and not in the majority of the groups that all of us guys are in right now, the majority of those groups, I haven't seen it, but there's a couple of other groups that don't have as many members, but I have seen people, be like, hey, I need help. And then someone's like, well, stupid, put a heater in the tank. And it's like, well, you can't be like that with someone who genuinely doesn't know. I mean, I know that there are some people that would actually like play stupid just to see if they could get a reaction. And that's what I was talking about with the negative energies, and then just the negativity towards one another is not something that I'm going to promote. It's not something that I'm going to feed into. And it's certainly not something that I want to see happening in such an amazing community. So I already went over that stuff, and I'm not going to get started on it because that bugs me. I don't like it. It really is. You are absolutely right, Aquafunk. Like, absolutely 100% correct. We all started somewhere. We all got into this hobby at one point or another, and we all had to learn. So why is that different for somebody who is just coming in? It is not fair. Again, Jordan, very good point. A lot of fake people, and there's a lot of people that just think they know everything. And I'm going to put my hands up now. I know beta, I know plants are green, and I know fish live in water. But you know what? Everything else that I learn, I try to share with everyone. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Sometimes it's just remove that person out of the situation and do not allow yourself to get sucked into that, which is why often you won't see me respond to a particular comment that I have noticed. If it's something that is in my group that I admin, Green Team, Green Oasis Farms. I can't speak tonight. I'm sorry. Green Oasis Farms. I admin that page. So if I see it in there, I will message that person privately. I will never splash it across Facebook, and I will never ever demoralize someone in front of the rest of the community. That is not fair. And I think a lot of people, and some of these people are really renowned people, big names, like people that I look up to. I'm like, I love this person, and then I see them talking down to someone who is brand new in the hobby, and I'm just like, why? That's not fair. So I think us guys, certainly everyone that's in here is fantastic. I've never seen no one in here. We all just need to keep pulling together and just filter out the negative ones, let them weed themselves out. Keep doing what you're doing, keep being a positive attitude and a positive member of the society, and keep everybody Paul, no, you are not mean. There is no, you're not mean. You like to think you're mean, but I don't think you're mean. But those were like some of my biggest things were just the shifts in the Facebook right now. I think we all need to make sure that people are going to the right groups, because I've noticed that some of these other groups that are still remaining right now are just, they really are negative. There's a lot of negative energy in them, and not to be disrespectful to the beta community in any way, shape, or form, but a lot of it happens in some of those groups. Not so much the big groups that I'm a part of, or even Jordan's a part of, Alluring Betas. Not so much those groups, but there's like 500 of these groups, and some of those groups are just so nasty. I'm just like, I'm leaving. I'm not staying here, you know. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like that, for me, I sat for a long time and I just observed. I observed people, I observed who's who. I kind of watched a lot of channels. Dog eat dog world, Paul. But like I observed a lot of these channels. I did a lot of research into what I did before I even did it. And a lot of people, when I first came onto YouTube, I had the finger pointed at me like, oh, you should not do this, you should not do that, you should not breed this fish to that fish. And I'm like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. And by the time I had come onto YouTube, a lot of people don't realize I was already showing my fish. I was already part of a couple of shows in Thailand. I was in a couple of shows in Singapore, and I'm just like, you don't need to tell me. I've done my research. I know certain things are frowned upon, but a lot of us, we want to push those boundaries. Why? Because we learn from them. And it's not because we're trying to do it to be like, oh, well, I did it and I did it successfully. It's not to have a brownie point. It's to learn, well, why are these people saying that you can't do this and this? And a lot of the time, if you don't actually do it yourself, you're not going to learn. Don't hang out with that kid. That kid's bad. Next thing you know, you see this kid getting into some form of trouble with the police or whatever, and you're like, okay, mom was right. We all have to explore on our own paths. We all have to make mistakes, push our own boundaries, and we're all here to help each one of us make a it's true. She is always, mom is nearly 9 times out of 10 is right. But we're all here to help one another make an educated decision as to what it is that we need to do. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm just like, well, why is it okay for that person to do it? But if I try it, I've got 15 people yelling at me. And I'm just like, but I mean, honestly, I really haven't had that kind of negative energy brought towards me. And that's good because, I try to help everybody learn from my mistakes. And if you want to go out there and make those mistakes yourself, go ahead. But this is what I found. This is what I found out. And this is what I learned from the experience. And this is why I don't recommend doing it. I don't recommend keeping the father with a fry for beta breeding. But I did it. My first ever spawn, I kept the father with the fry. I read for probably about 6 months of reading the same thing over and over and over again to make sure I knew absolutely everything about this process, what could potentially happen. I knew what I was getting myself into. And my father fish was with the fry for over a month, and I still ended up with 60 something fry. So, I honestly, at one point, I did start seeing him snacking on his kids, and I was just like, okay, it's time for you to get out. You're done. But that was the same fish that I nearly killed with the excessive heat with the light and the heater and the computer. So he was yes. Yes, all the time. Turkey bases, syringes, spoons, pinches. When they're bigger, I use pinches of stuff, but I have measuring spoons, I have turkey base, I have syringes, I have pipettes. You name it, I've got it down here. Like my husband will root through the kitchen drawers and he'll be like, "Where's the turkey base?" And I'm like, "Wasn't me. It was clearly me. I stole it." Where are all the Tupperwares? Not my worm collection, that's for sure. Of course, I've got grindleworms growing in the Tupperwares from my kitchen. I mean, they'll never go back up in my kitchen, but yeah, I'll steal stuff out of my kitchen cabinets and grow worms and stuff in them because I'm gross. Or I like it when my kids come down. I'm like, "You want to see the worms?" And they're like, "No, mom, I just want to see the fish." I'm like, "You want to see the worms?" No, they don't like it. I can imagine that the poodle forums are, I mean, poodles are, yeah, dog forums are wicked. I have been working on a playlist, Aquafunk. I have been working on like a breakdown of like every single step there is to take, but it kind of got put on a little bit of a back burner between the past kind of month and a half. I've been working really hard on a couple of other projects, and a lot of that is Paul's fault, so blame him. But it kind of ended up. I got to I think it was like the 5th episode that I'm at right now. I promise I will get that compilation finished up, because it really goes in depth into like, this is how you set up your tank, this is how you choose your fish, this is how to feed the fish, this is how to grow it covers everything that they possibly can cover, because I really wanted to. When I came into breeding beta, I searched so many times for really, really detailed information. I'm a person about detail. I need to know everything. And I just felt like there was just pieces that were skipped in the community. Okay, freaking out. Thought there was a spider. I'm sorry. I felt like there was a kind of a gap for really, really, really detailed information, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. It might be a little bit of overkill for it, but I really felt like it's something that everyone would benefit from, especially because it was. What do you need to win exactly? Better breeding vid. I have a compilation coming up. Oh my god, is that what I think it is? I'm trying to remember what it was. I think I watched. Was this Aquafunk? Were you talking about this in a live stream that the one time? And you wanted to breed? You guys had to breed betas or something, and then whoever did it more successfully or something like that won. I forget what it was, but I remember I was watching that. I did. I was actually present in that live stream. I was with you in that live stream, and I was giggling about it, and I thought it was hilarious because but yeah, I definitely have the basics, so it'll get you started. That's for sure. And P.S. If you need to message me, come find me on Facebook. So like, I will talk you through. But I'm actually going to be setting up a new pair real soon. I don't know if I spoke about it before, but I bought a couple of I bought a pair of beta, and I was conditioning them, and I was like, well, once they're done conditioning, depending on how they did. Hey, how are you? Once I finished conditioning, I figured, well, I would just release her and they'll spawn, because the conditioning and the quarantine, they honestly, they came from a breeder that I have bought from many times before. In fact, he's one of the only people that I actually buy from, except for Jordan. Jordan's got me a pair that you gotta send them over. And during the process of the quarantine, the male built the bubble nest, which I knew he was going to do anyway. That's what males do. And then the female jumped. That is the second female that I've had that has jumped out of the holding tank to get to the male. And honestly, it was this high she managed to get out of. She managed to get from the water level being down here to the top being out here. I don't know how on earth she got out. She got out. They spawned. And I think that the male was kind of a little overwhelmed by the fact that she actually jumped out, threw herself at him, and then he abandoned the nest. Like, he picked all the eggs up, put them all up in the nest, and then abandoned them. And so that is my next one. So when I finally set them back up again, I'm going to actually film everything from that process. And I will break it down and use it in the remaining like pieces of the beta breed and breakdown. And you can actually find that playlist on my channel. It's already earmarked as a playlist here. So by all means, go and check that out. And that'll definitely give you a good, it'll definitely give you the fundamentals of what you need to get prepared before you even breed. So be prepared, because they can pop out quite a few babies. There's it's quite surprising the amount of eggs that can come out of such a small fish. Mind-blowing, actually. So that, I think, pretty much, I've been streaming now for like an hour and 30 minutes. So I was going to say something. I'm like, no, I'm not going to encourage anyone to cheat. That's just not fair. But yes, I also have a black orchid crown tail, and he is just one of my favorite fish. And actually, he is one of the fathers of the 4 spawns that I currently have. And I cannot wait to see how these fry turn out. Like, the crown tail to me is just amazing. And he's one of the ones, not with the really, when it comes to a crown tail, you want that the tail, you want the rays to be like almost like fingers. You don't want them to be like, you don't want them to stick out like a piece of hair and like droop down, or you want them to be really good and strong, thick rays. If they look like they're curly or they're kind of wavy, if they're not nice, big, strong, thick rays, then that to me, my male has really thick rays. Not a king crown, unfortunately. I nearly paid a very, very high price for a king crown. And if you don't know what they are, go look them up and you'll have your world turned upside down. These things are amazing. But crown tails are definitely one of my favorite. Actually, most likely my favorite. Just because they are they're just gorgeous. So I cannot wait to see what these ones. I don't care what kind of fish you're into. I can guarantee you, if you buy a beta, you will not be disappointed, period. You could be someone who's into, I don't know, catfish from the deep depths of the toilet bowl, and you'll buy a beta and you'll just be like, I've missed this all my life. Why? You absolutely have to have a lid. You have to have a lid. They are amazing jumpers, and I ended up with a spawn that wasn't planned because my females apparently like to jump for the males. So you have to have lids, and they do have the grumpiest faces. I love them. I love them so much. And And again, like that's the stupidest little things just make me love them even more. Some of them don't care that you're there, and like you'll walk away and then they'll come over. And some of them get so excited when they see you, and their eyesight is phenomenal. I don't know if any of you guys have ever noticed that about beta. Their eyesight is just unbelievable. They are so alert and reactive and responsive. And that's the joy of them being a predator. Again, a lot of people don't realize that beta are predators. Beta have teeth, even though they might be microscopic. But these guys, they hunt and they actively hunt, and that is what they do. And that is often also why they jump, because either they don't like their tank, they don't like that area at all, and they've decided that something outside looks way more cool. And obviously they probably don't realize that on the other side of that glass there's no water. So, I mean, they're not exactly the smartest fish, but they think about their bellies, and in the wild, that's what they do. In the wild, they have to, what is up, Pond Life? Everyone's coming in now, and I've been going for an hour and a half, and I'm like, oh my God. Mini arowana. Yes. And they're spring loaded like them too. It's awesome. Like, I don't know if you can actually train them too, which is even more satisfying. Like, you can train them, and you can train them to flare, and a lot of people don't understand a lot of what goes into the beta you get. A lot of them, if you hold a pen up to your beta tank, if that fish responds to that pen, the chances are that fish has been flare trained, which is a good breeder. And it's also essential. Like, you need to keep those beta flaring. Not excessively, but at least every other day you need to have them. You know what? Everyone keeps saying that the notifications aren't working, and it's kind of a downer, really, especially for, us that have the smaller number counts, for instance, because, we kind of rely on those notifications going out, and the channels that are making money rely on those notifications going out. So it kind of stinks, really, that the notifications on YouTube they just mess up. They're not working, and it's been like that for months now, it seems. And I don't know why that bug has not been fixed. I've missed LRB Aquatics. I've missed his streams. I've missed Haley's streams. I've missed Jordan's videos because I don't get the notifications. Who else did I miss? The Beta Oasis launch. I missed it completely. I was so upset. And that's actually why I ended up messaging Michael, I think it was. I think I messaged Michael or Greg. I don't remember. It would have been Michael. I messaged Michael. I'm like, I don't know how I missed this. I'm sorry, because I wanted to see this. I was talking about it like days before, so I was completely upset by that. But and there's been a bunch recently that I've missed. Oh. So only if you're running on Chrome? Is that what you mean by that? Secret to YouTube notifications, allow the ones through Chrome. So basically, and I noticed that because I tried to stream on Internet Explorer and it wouldn't let me. So I had to actually download Chrome in order to be able to even stream through my computer, not even including my phone. So, it's kind of frustrating, but maybe that's something that we should put out in the communities too, and in the Facebooks. It definitely seems that way. It seems to be the one that's the least glitchy and the one that's actually allowing things to work correctly. But yeah, it's a shame. So it's a shame. It's a real shame. I like to flick through, and I always hope that I can catch someone, especially people that I really enjoy watching. But I really haven't been getting very many notifications recently from any of the channels that I watch, and they're big channels. You know, some of the people that I really enjoy being a part of the chat team in the live stream. I miss the notifications and I pop in at the last like 5 minutes of the live stream. I'm like, oh, why? That's not fair. So I guess we're all gonna fall victim to that. But mark your calendars, because even though it was actually supposed to be tonight, I think we were gonna be going live tonight. But unfortunately we weren't able to. You know, unfortunately for me, it's kind of difficult to do that because I have 4 children and I do not stop. Like, I'm crazy, and it's always kind of like a last like 40-minute decision that I'm like, okay, I'm going live right now. So I'm trying to go live more frequently, but that's definitely something that I'm trying to work on right now, is going live more frequently, just because I feel like the interaction is so much more beneficial. I like to do the videos, but honestly, I'll start recording the video. I'll go to sit down to edit the video, and something will happen, and I'll just it won't work. So, well, you know, between me and my husband, we have 8 kids. So, yeah, 4 of them are older, but 4 of them are younger. So, like, I still have to do all the mommy tasks, and my day starts at like 6, around about 6, depending. It depends. It can be 5:30 or it could be 7 o'clock. But somewhere through there, I'm up, and I don't usually go back to bed until, I don't know, usually like 1 o'clock in the morning. 18 years old or 18 months old? Sorry. You said grown, so I'm assuming you mean 18 years old. I'm getting sleepy. So, no, it's okay. My eldest is 27 and my youngest is 7. So, like, it's awesome when you see all of my boys playing outside. I love it. Like, when my little boys are, I say my little boys, when my boys are playing outside with their older brother, it's just so cute to see like the different generations, because it's, out of my boys, they're 27, 18, 27, 18, 12, 10, and 7. So it's like when they're all playing together outside, it just warms me. I'm probably one of the only parents that is like, yes, summer's coming. My kids are going to be home all summer, 6 weeks. I get spoiled with my kids. I am that mother. I cry when my kids go back to school. I hate it. I hate the silence. I don't like it. I love the chaos. And that's it. That's exactly it. I feel like everyone. My 27-year-old is my stepson, but he's mine. I raised him. He's mine, and I won't take that for any other answer. I raised him. He's mine. So he's he is 27. I'm 37, and my husband is 47. So 48. Sorry. So, you know, it's, when I came into this relationship, my children, or sorry, his children became my children, and that is exactly how it is, and that's exactly how it's going to stay forever and ever and ever. They're my kids, and that's the, you know, they get the love from me as if I gave birth to them, and it doesn't. That's just children. That's what children need. So, but I'm not going to go into that, because otherwise you're just going to be bored to tears, because I'm talking about kids and how much I love my kids, and you'll just be like, well, we all love our kids. So, but anyway, guys, I am actually going to call it a night. I appreciate everyone for stopping by, and if you enjoyed this live stream, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And come and join me on Facebook. And like I said, but I said it before, I don't know if everyone was in here. I am very, very active on Green Oasis Farms. That is the Facebook group that I am extremely active on. I admin that group. They are my family, and you guys are more than welcome to join. If you would like to come and join us, that would be fantastic. And again, I appreciate everyone for being here with me. And look out for us on Thursday, because I believe on Thursday we have a live stream and we possibly have some special guests. So I will post notifications on Facebook. So again, if you're not friends with me on Facebook, feel free to add me as a friend. Come join us in the group, and you'll definitely get the notifications then when we're actually genuinely going live. But for now, I believe not Thursday, sorry, Wednesday. It is Wednesday, not Thursday. That's Michael getting me confused. So it will be Wednesday evening that we will be going live and having a really good conversation about some awesome things in the fish world. So definitely come and join us. And again, thank you. Have a good night. Bye.